Okay, people can see this, yeah. And what we've got here is, so I just need to delete other things so I can see it as well. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so what we've got here is the first of a series of emails sent on the 23rd of August. Now, first thing to understand is it's sent from Councillor S. Fielding. You can see it there. It's from Councillor S. Fielding. You can also see it's from his oldham.gov.uk address. So there is no doubt whatsoever that this is the email from Sean Fielding from his Oldham Council address. And I have found your name on the university website. I do not think you're the right person to contact, but hopefully you can direct me to who he is. A researcher is currently engaged in a social media smear and harassment campaign against me, the council, and a number of my colleagues. The campaign has led the individual in question to line up with a number of rather unpleasant individuals, including, and remember this, criminals, fraudsters, and racist bullies from the far right in Oldham. Ignore the middle bit, blah, blah, blah. He reckons his life's under threat and all the rest of it. As if, Sean, stop talking nonsense. Given the person I'm referring to describes themselves as a researcher at the university in the biography, blah, 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 please could you advise the best mechanism by which to report this so it can be considered by the university? Sean Fielding, leader of the council. Do you see it? Sean Fielding, leader of the council. He's written that from his council email address and he's signed it off, leader of the council. And then, so there is no doubt, the website, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is embedded. All of those clicks go take you to Oldham Council's appropriate pages. And all of that is, you can also see Civic Centre West Street, the council standard stuff at the you know, there would be no doubt anyone reading that email, this email has come from the leader of Oldham Council, and the importance is high, and his subject title is Researcher Conduct. Well, it's sent on the 23rd of, sorry, I'll put Ian's comment up. It was sent on the 23rd, Ian, so you can decide yourself, yeah, if you was quarantined at the time. But you can see he sent it in his capacity as the leader of the council. There is no doubt whatsoever about that. This is the response the next day from the university. I am writing in response to your recent email to my colleague. I am sorry and horrified to hear of the difficulties you have experienced. Horrified. If you can let me know the details of the individual perpetrating to be a researcher as well as the offending post, we will then investigate the matter and determine appropriate next steps. So you can see the university have responded in the middle of August, horrified that the leader of Oldham Council has gone to them with these horrific allegations. On the 25th, so the day after, he replies, "Thank you for getting in touch so quickly. The council and particularly me have been the subject of a smear campaign at the hands of an individual known as Raja Mir for a considerable period of time." So straight away, the first name he mentions, after referring to criminals, fraudsters and bullies from the far right, is my name. And not just my name. He says an individual known as. Now, Sean, I know you hang around with Arud Shah and some of her mates, and I know they go by funny, strange nicknames, and it's known as Irish this or Scottish that or whatever it is. Sean, lad, my name is Raja Mir. It's been my name since forever. I'm not an individual known as. That's my name, you bloody incompetent moron. Now, you clearly, by saying an individual known as, you're trying to make it sound worse than it is. So, he has made allegations. I've not made allegations, Sean. I've presented evidence and I've asked questions. I know it's difficult for you to understand, these complex political terms perhaps, but I've asked questions and I've presented facts. And so Sean, just to get some, get his boys lined up, he's claiming GMP are involved, and I've made up, cover up by the GMP and the BBC are all involved. There is no evidence to support any of this. Can you read that again? Please read that. There is no evidence to support any of this. Yeah. And I've been apparently interviewed under caution by Greater Manchester Police in relation to my campaign. No, I haven't. I was interviewed. I volunteered for interview with Greater Manchester Police regarding a malicious complaint fabricated by Debbie Abrahams. And Debbie, I'm here. Yeah, I know you're listening. Sue me. Sue me. Malicious, fabricated complaint by you, Debbie Abrahams. I've gone to the police with it and I want you arrested. So there's no doubt whatsoever what I want out of this. And it was to do with the Misrepresentation of Peoples Act. It wasn't to do with my campaign. It was because Debbie Abrahams had claimed that the Misrepresentation of Peoples Act is that I somehow tried to adversely impact upon an election. Good luck with that. Anyway, let's carry on. The social media pages, the websites where he circulates his allegations are here. Again, they're not allegations. Go and have a look at it. Facts and questions. Puts my Twitter there, my Facebook, my personal Facebook, and also the Reticent 9 Facebook that we're on here now, and also the webpage. You will see that much of the recent activity has descended into a personal abuse of me. It's not descended into personal abuse of you at all, Sean Fielding. I'm continuing to behave as I always have done. The problem is, you have decided to behave in a manner that brings your position into disrepute, and I, as a member of the public, have every right to raise awareness of this, such as you going off on holiday to Lanzarote, just as, the coronavirus was spiking and we were close to lockdown. So, what? The social media pages and websites, blah, blah, blah. The researcher, so he's named Jane. And Jane sent me this, by the way, so it's fine. So Jane sent me this because she's gone through a torrid time. So he's given some context as to why Jane might be supporting me. And that's because she's opposed planning application that was granted permission in summer 2019. So I think Jane's part of the Save Our Valleys campaign. I've never met Jane, by the way. And I have had a Twitter exchange with her before I got hold of this. However, her grievances with the council have led her to recirculate the child grooming allegations via her Twitter account and also engage in general online abuse and harassment on me on a range of issues not limited to this. So he's accusing her of harassment and abuse. And he's attached some of what he's said, right? So that's what he's done. Now let me bring up what is attached. I think I'll move to the. I'm not doing very well with this. Give me 1 second. me zoom out. Okay, I will. So that's their response on the 26th. Dear Sean, thank you for providing the further details. We'll deal with the matter internally. So let's have a look at the further details. I think it's worthwhile having a look at the further details. All on council time, yeah. All whilst he's on furlough and being paid his full whatever. It starts off with this. Raja Miah was previously the chief executive of 2 free schools in Oldham, Manchester. The schools failed and closed following damning Ofsted reports. It has been widely reported that there was evidence of financial corruption at the school and an investigation is ongoing. Malicious, fraudulent, libelous statement. Completely false, but we'll carry on. Mr. Miah has continued his involvement in education and most recently was reported that has been secretly blacklisted by the DfE. I have the letters from the DfE. I was not secretly blacklisted, but you carry on. I was not blacklisted of any form. And instructed not to be involved in education again. False. Despite he continued to be involved in a supply teacher agency, which itself has also been reported as being financially mismanaged. Wrong. This is the bit where it gets is clear. And remember, he's doing this as the leader of the council. And this is why you, all of you, as Oldham taxpayers, are going to get shafted because I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue the council because he's doing this in the capacity as leader of the council and sharing this, and he shared it to other people as well. It is believed that Mr. Miah's smear campaign against the council and an individual associated with it is motivated by his desire to divert his attention from his own criminal behaviour and corruption. That is the leader of Oldham Council in his capacity as the leader of Oldham Council referring to me as a criminal and corrupt individual. And then he links these documents to his left-wing friends in the Manchester Evening News, Jennifer Williams, who was forced to admit that she assumed quotes, so she made up stories about me. The Guardian guy who hates free schools, and Schools Week, who are currently being sued. And Oldham Times, who, if I can be bothered with suing them, I don't even think they've got any money to be sued by. I'll get round to it. But there you go. So that's, first of all, so he's setting the context. This is a clear attack on me. You can see it's a clear attack on me. Yes, Sean, it is slander. It's libel, you know. And so let's have a look. Let's have a look what his particular gripes are. Gripe number 1. Remember the racist? The far-right bullies that he referred to? He lifts a small extract out of an article, out of a Twitter exchange. Here is an example of a racist tweet liked by Mr. Erok. That's right. Mr. Erok, he reckons, liked a racist tweet. Here is a social media post from him in support of Tommy Robinson. He's neither a racist nor a Tommy Robinson fan, but, you know, it's a disgrace. So straight away, he's gone for Paul after he's gone for me. Mrs. Barker is frequently engaged with Paul Boots-Erok. The above was a candidate for the newly formed Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth party in Oldham, East and Saddleworth at the 2019 general election. He is openly racist and a far-right Tommy Robinson sympathiser. He was recently interviewed under caution for allegedly smearing a political opponent online with allegations of child grooming, and in the case is currently with the Crown Prosecution Service. You can see what he's trying to do here. Yeah, but here we go. He is openly racist. Paul Boots has sat in my house with my 5-year-old daughter. Paul Boots is well known in the Asian community in Glodick, Westwood, Werneth. I don't need to defend Paul Boots, but I feel compelled to say something. This is the leader of Oldham Council contacting Manchester University referring to an individual as openly racist. And a Tommy Robinson fan. Why? What has this got to do with Jane? Because Jane retweeted this. Oldham Council are refusing my FOI requests. You know, FOI requests like how many postal votes there were in the town? Or FOI requests like how many schools or which schools did your paedophile teacher work in? Or why, you know, what sort of investigations were done after Rod Blythe was found to be a child, you know, convicted for child sex offences? She retweeted that. What are they trying to hide? As a member of Oldham, as a person who lives in this town, that is a legitimate question to be asked. What are they trying to hide? Yeah, Kaiser's seen some of it. In fact, Kaiser's helped me a lot with my responses, so I need to acknowledge that here. But he's seen all the paperwork from the DFE and how I was cleared and stuff. It was just a smear campaign, and it's increasingly more and more clear why it was a smear campaign. Okay, next one. Responding to a tweet by anonymous account Cheeky Lass, which I recently blocked. Well, come on, that's not a surprise, really, is it, Sean? You're blocking most of the town. Yeah. She alleged that the council is concealing something following us advising Rajami and writing that he was a vexatious contact and the council would not respond to any more of his requests, as it places an unreasonable demand on our resources. I think I put in 5 FOI requests over 18 months, so I'm not sure how that is an unreasonable demand on the resources. They're just questions they don't want to answer. He reckons this is permitted within the regulations about freedom of information. The ICO will disagree with you, Sean. And if the ICO don't disagree with me, people of the town will disagree with you. Because we have a right to know. We have a right to know how many postal votes there were. We have a right to know under what circumstances Glodic Bass was sold to the Ghazali Trust. We have a right to know what sort of land was sold to Councillor Saeed Mushtaq's brother. And how much for. And what did Cheeky Lass say? Isn't this just disgusting? Oldham Council, I'm not sure this will be the end of this. Look at that. Jane's responding to a lady who's said that it can't be the end of it. This is a refusal to engage with the public and try and sweep things under the carpet, which will be the end of this council. How is that? What is Sean Fielding trying to do here in his capacity as leader of the council? I'll tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to prevent one of our key fundamental human rights, freedom of speech. This complaint just here is against the Human Rights Act. Sean Fielding has breached the Human Rights Act right here. I'll carry on. Here we go. She responded to a tweet by Raja Mir inciting abuse. How did I incite abuse? I stated a fact. I'm not inciting abuse. For taking a holiday, which he alleges was against FCU advice. Again, without evidence. Of course it was against FCU advice, you moron. When you came back, you had to self-isolate for 2 weeks. Are you thick? You really are thick, aren't you? I really do think this boy is thick. You know, because of course it was against FCO advice, because when you came back, you were self-isolating for 2 weeks. You went somewhere the government tells you not, they'd rather you didn't go. That's what advice means. But putting that to one side, you left this town on the, as you know, just in a crisis. You left our town in a crisis, mate. You took a 2-week holiday to Lanzarote. And what did Jane say? Did she abuse you? Did she say anything untoward? Did she swear at you? No. I despair of our current leadership, all missing in action over past couple of weeks when we needed strong leadership. Not just Councillor Fielding, but Caroline Wilkins and Arood Shah too. So she's not even picking on you, mate. She's saying all of you are missing. The whole lot next to useless. If full town has to go into lockdown, there will be hell to pay. Who disagrees with this woman saying this? Angela Rayner applauded Oldham Council and Chancellor Sean Fielding. I have done, Kaiser. I have openly challenged at the beginning of the show to say these actions for her to defend Sean's actions. I challenge Angela Rayner or Jim McMahon to come and challenge Sean's actions because this is a clear violation of the Human Rights Act. There's more. Responding to a tweet by Paul Boots Errock with abuse about me. Mr. Errock is the leader of the Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth Party, a far-right organisation. So before he called him racist, remember? Now, Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth is a far-right organisation. This is not the words of Sean Fielding. This is the words of Oldham Council. Because when Sean Fielding communicated this, he communicated this as leader of the council. As leader of the council, he is claiming Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth, and thereby anyone who supports Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth, is far right. He's claiming the party is a far right organisation. I've had drinks with every one of them. There's nothing far right about them. He is also an outspoken racist. So twice, outspoken racist, far right. And what did Paul do? Was there anything far right about what he tweeted? No. He retweeted what Sean Fielding had said in his arrogance. When he was saying, well, anywhere could be another Leicester if the situation is not managed properly. But fortunately, in Oldham, we are doing. Yeah, we managed it so well that we went to top of the COVID charts. And what did Jane do? She responded. Both Captain Underpants and the COVID Queen missing in action. What an embarrassment they are. How is that abuse? He brings it on himself to be called Captain Underpants. He had his girlfriend hold up his ripped underpants, put it on Twitter, and shared a sexual fantasy, days after he was forced to announce an inquiry into the grooming gangs. Yeah, I'm going to put some comments up because I think these are right. Sorry, Rocky, I had to put that up because it made me giggle. Yeah, I think so. Because this is Oldham Council referring to Proud of Oldham and Saddleworth as a far-right organisation. It's not Sean Fielding doing it, it's Oldham Council. Now this is where it gets interesting. A bit more interesting for me anyway. Making an unsubstantiated allegation of financial corruption against me in response to an Oldham tweet. This was the 19 million shortfall. And what we're asking for is, well, what have you done with the money you've already got? And Jane said, the money has been spent and consultant lawyers and special financiers are all taking cuts. This is to do with the £304 million eco centre. The glamping caravan, wherever in Glodick and Fitnell. She has a right to hold that opinion. She has a right as an Oldham citizen to oppose £304 million and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren left to pay off debts of this folly, of some glamping sites in Glodick. She has every right to hold that opinion. Again, blatant violation of her human rights. And then he picks on my mate. I mean, I missed this one out, but this is interesting because my friend Moyab, and he is my friend. We grew up together. He lived next door to me. He was one of my oldest friends. He is a senior HMRC inspector. Mr. Uddin is currently under investigation by the Lib Dems. I know that. I shared that. You complained, didn't you, Sean? You called him a far-right supporter, a Nazi, and all of those things, didn't you? So he's reported him to his employer HMRC as well. So as well as Jane, who works for the university, here's Moyab Uddin, senior tax inspector, senior HMRC inspector. He's complained about him as well. In his capacity, no doubt, as leader of the council. He's a close associate. No, he's my mate. Close, and involved in the smear campaign against Oldham Council. So how is Moyab involved in a smear campaign against Oldham Council? He's just seen ITV News out taking video shots. You know what's coming next, Oldham Council. So this was ITV News out and about taking video shots of the lead up to Oldham being giving additional lockdown sort of restrictions and stuff. How is that? Someone show me what that and how that can result in a complaint to his employer at HMRC. Someone explain that to me. The leader of Oldham Council complained to the university about Jane Barker. The leader of the Oldham Council complaining to HMRC about Moyab Uddin because he tweeted something. Is Councillor Fielding going to shout its barefaced lies? Really? That's something to complain about? There is documenting. Okay, Chris. He did. I found that to be really offensive. Okay. It gets worse for Sean. Yeah, honestly, it does get worse for Sean. She retweeted an abusive tweet from me, apparently. Apparently this is abusive. I see that their duties include being paid to like and retweet the Cabbage Patch Kid account post, okay? So, he's hired these two ladies as new communications officers. I think I leaked it to that they were paid between them the best part of £100,000, which is denying, but they're on £100,000 between them, or a bit more actually. Once you've figured in all the added costs and stuff. And sorry, I'm going to put this up. I wonder if he's had either of them hold up his ripped underpants yet. You brought that on yourself, mate. You put up your ripped underpants. You had your girlfriend, as the leader of the council, you had your girlfriend put up your ripped underpants whilst you shared your sexual fantasy. I know you might want to forget it, but that's what you did. And as for the Cabbage Patch Kid, again, whilst people were losing their livelihoods, whilst people were losing family members, you put up a picture of you with some very short shorts on, with I think it was a can of beer next to you, lapping up the sun, growing your cabbages. You did that. I didn't do that. You did that. Angela Rayner. He's doing a good job, is he? I dares you, Angela Rayner. I dare you to come out and say you agree with your mate, because I know he was your agent in the election. Come out. Come on. Dares you, Angela. Come out and say that you agree with the actions of Sean Fielding writing to the employers of Oldham citizens trying to get them in trouble on council time with this nonsense. And what had Jane done? Here, another one of Jane's, one of his complaints. She liked one of my posts to do with the young girl in Barrow. The case has been hijacked by the far right. I don't care if the case has been hijacked by the far right. I care, and so does Jane, that someone did this to a teenage girl who's claimed she's been trafficked to Oldham, you dickhead. And sorry, I had to swear, because look at this girl. That's what I care about. And the case is more complex than you and I know, but people in Barrow have now been arrested for grooming. And the reporter that you're defending, the journalist, has been exposed for, she's been run out of town for the way she wrote her stories. And she was convicted for, was it cocaine? She was driving while high on cocaine with a child in the car. And again, the reference to the far right. Again, the reference to the far right. And he didn't like this either. He didn't like that she commented on the fact that the man leading the renowned Dr. Mark Peel, as appointed by Sean Fielding, who he still refuses to say why Mark Peel left, stepped down. The third paragraph says it all. So the third paragraph in the report says it all. That's her statement. That's all she said. She said nothing else apart from that. Responding to a tweet and insinuating that I am somehow involved in a cover-up of child grooming because I was unavailable for comment about the resignation of a consultant at the council. No, she's responding to the tweet to say, here you go. Why is the leader of the council not issuing a statement? It's not that you were unavailable. What were you? On holiday? Growing your cabbages? Out for a sophisticated drink? Hanging out with Angela Rayner? What were you? How can the leader of the council not be giving a statement as to why his own appointed lead investigator refused to carry out his own inquiry into the grooming and gang rape of our children? She's not insinuating you're somehow involved in a cover-up. She's saying you should be giving a statement. I'm going to put this up because I agree with you. I'd rather be a member of the far right than a pedo protector. I don't think the far right would have me, but I'd rather be a member of the far right than a pedo protector. retweeting an image of Jim McMahon and unsubstantiated allegations that he's involved. Hey, what is unsubstantiated about the failure of Jim McMahon to explain his role in the activities and actions that led up to Kaiser getting sacked and the investigation there that's currently with parliamentary standards of the parliamentary commissioner who suspended it, but it's still sat there because no one wants to see Jim McMahon fall, because if he falls, all hell breaks loose in the Labour Party. And what's wrong with asking questions over that now infamous email where the funeral of Lee Rigby was clearly used to cover up news of a grooming gang? That's not unsubstantiated, nor is it an allegation. I think that's true. They have a of getting their IT department to try and access people's. Yep, I agree with you. I think there's one more, is it? Oh, a couple more. Remember Oldham Council and Oldham Athletics? £6 million they gave them. There's never been an explanation about that £6 million. I asked a question. The police apparently investigated this as well. She retweeted that. She retweeted wanting to know where £6 million of public money in Oldham had gone. Yeah. Do we not have a right, Jim McMahon, to know where £6 million of our money went? What's the question? When will Jim from Oldham issue a statement clarifying what happened to £6 million of our money that was handed over whilst leader of Oldham Council? How is that unreasonable? She retweeted this. She retweeted having an opinion. Whilst leader of Oldham Council, Jim McMahon promoted Oldham to businesses as a place of cheap labour. He expanded zero-hour contracts while increasing the salary of its executives. Oh, and there's also a secret offshore tax avoidance bank account. All of that's factual. All of that's in the public domain. There's nothing inaccurate in that statement. Is she now not allowed, as a citizen of Oldham, to ask questions? She retweeted this. In plain sight, in the midst of a grooming gang, it's one of my articles, with a statement that says, if we start making arrests, we wouldn't know where to stop. Would probably end up arresting half the men in Coldust. That is a witness statement that was given to me by someone who was involved in protecting girls around telecars when telecars were being investigated, and a young child, he picked up a young girl and rescued her because she was in a mess. He'd spoken to the police, and these were the words that the police had responded with. And senior councillors at Oldham Council used council meeting to mock me, yes, before launching a re-election campaign beside a convicted sex offender. Abdul Jabbar, sue me if you want, Abdul, but everyone's seen the pictures. You launched your re-election campaign alongside the former chairman of Oldham Central Mosque, who was also a former Labour Party candidate. But there's no escaping it. He's a convicted sex offender. Yet you decided to stand alongside him and launch a re-election campaign. Why isn't Sean Fielding sacking you or suspending you? There you go. Rise of the cartels. She retweeted it. I believe in the cartels. I think most of the people in our town now know whether the cartels are true or not. She retweeted it. This is my opinion. The reason is obvious. Votes mattered more to them. Am I the only one who thinks that the Labour Party turned a blind eye to our children being groomed, raped and sold because they didn't matter, because white working class girls didn't matter, or they mattered less than the block Asian vote that keeps these people in power? Am I the only one who has that opinion? Retweeting the unsubstantiated allegations of child grooming. No, mate, factually provided information. Again, on postal vote fraud, I gave evidence. Blah, blah, blah. And he's calling the Oldham Eye account racist. Now, I don't know if the Oldham Eye account is racist or not, but I know I'm not the Oldham Eye account, and I know in every engagement Oldham Eye has ever had with me, he's never or she's never shown anything racist. Apparently, she retweeted a fabricated claim from Councillor Arooj Shah that she'd endorsed my murder. Here I am on record once again being very, very clear, because I've shared the Facebook post that Arooj Shah liked and endorsed and commented on. Arooj Shah endorsed my murder. Jane unfortunately held the opinion that Angela Rayner is failing child grooming victims in Oldham. So you're going to report her for having that opinion. What about the neglected child victims of sexual exploitation in Oldham? Debbie, I spoke to a victim's family last week from Count Hill School. And her position is that the staff knew what was going on. The teachers knew what was going on. Maybe you should, swing back round from Kashmir, go up to the teachers at Waterhead Academy who were involved in Count Hill School at the time and ask them. And the police know this happened because the police took these girls home after they were raped. Not said a word, have you, Miss? And this one, engagement with a tweet. So there's a guy called Whistleblower. It's called Pete Jackson. Pete's a good guy. Self-proclaimed whistleblower. See, self-proclaimed whistleblower, agreeing with his assessment that Maggie Oliver should run for Mayor of Greater Manchester. So she's agreed for Maggie to run for Mayor of Greater Manchester, and he thinks that is something to complain about. Do you see? I'd vote for Maggie Oliver if she stood for to be GM Mayor. People of Oldham, this is your leader. This is what he's been spending his time doing. He's been hounding, harassing, victimising hard-working, honest people of this town for daring to have an opinion that he doesn't agree with. He's trying to get him sacked as far as I'm concerned. But have a look. She wants an independent audit of our council with the involvement of the National Audit Office. How is that? How is that? How is there anything wrong with that statement? She circulated my blog from her own Twitter account. Hold on. So you're telling me that she can't circulate my blog from her own account? This is a violation of the Human Rights Act. It is black and white. Yes, Jane, Kaiser, loads of you. Yes, absolutely. I'd vote for Maggie Oliver as mayor, I wouldn't. And Kaiser says something about her being a conservative. Kaiser, I wouldn't care if she was a Lib Dem or an independent. I'd vote for that woman. I'd even vote for her if she stood as a Labour candidate, but we know she wouldn't because Burnham's there, so I'm saved from having to vote Labour. But look at that. And this last one is disgraceful. Number 1 at the top of the list. Sharing a tweet by Pete Jackson, a man dismissed from Greater Manchester Police. Pete Jackson was not dismissed from Greater Manchester Police. He retired with honours after 31 years of selfless service to the police force. So this is what he shared. Back to this. So all that was his further details. Sean, the bully, because he's a bully, then added this nonsense in with Neil Wilby, who's now friends with, because I said I'd seen evidence of a number of cases. So he wrote back to the university, and apparently, as you can see, he's got a parallel complaint against those who have been engaged. So he's got parallel complaints. So there you go. In his own words, he's complained about multiple individuals. And he's, the threat, there's at some point, there are consequences to circulating unsubstantiated allegations in social media. No, mate, at some point, there are consequences for being a pillock of a politician. I note that Mrs. Barker has now set up a separate Twitter account and so assume that this matter has been discussed with her. I would also like to bring to your attention that details of my complaint appear to have been shared with Raja Mir. No. So what he's now saying is, because I've complained about her. He's complained about her to the university. And most of it's to do with me, or Paul. He reckons she's come to me. Jane never came to me. Other people have come to me, which is the referencing I was making. Other people have come to me about complaints you've made. Unsubstantiated, harassment, malicious complaints you've made, Sean Fielding, in your position as leader of Oldham Council. Look at her, trying to get her sacked, trying to get her in more trouble. She's gone running to someone else. Look at this. I don't know whether this would be considered appropriate by the university, her sharing information with me. Well, guess what? She shared all of this with me after the investigation has been finished. And look at this response. This is a, sorry for swearing, this is a get stuffed response from the university. This is are you really the leader of Oldham Council? Sending us all this stuff and following it up and following it up? This is a violation of human rights. This is libel. This is the reason why Sean Fielding should be suspended immediately. Wow. Sorry, we've been on for over 2 hours. I didn't mean it to be over 2 hours, but let me bring a couple of scenes up and put some points up that people have said. Just give me 1 second. I just need to open all my windows again. Yes, please, if you can, donate. If you can, get on the Patreon page. Give me £1 a month if you can. All of this costs money, and I'm not too proud to ask for help to keep this going, because without this platform, I don't think many of us would know really about what's been going on. So that's what we're up to. Let me just take that off. Let me put some comments up. You're right, Paul. They are breaches of Articles 10 and 11 of the Human Rights Act, if you remember it right. I remember it right. And they are definitely breaches of the Human Rights Act. Pete Jackson is a top bloke. What Pete Jackson did was his son was badly beaten, and the police failed his son. Couldn't even bother to check the CCTV, so he went and did it himself, and then complained about the police officers who hadn't been doing their job. So that's Pete Jackson's story. There's nothing dodgy about that man. He's a decent bloke. He's a decent, hard-working bloke who continues to serve the country and serve our communities, even after he's a retired policeman, left after 31 years of service. And Sean Fielding claims he was dismissed. And wow. David, it is embarrassing. But you know what's even more dangerous, David? I'm hearing from sources that, and I think Dr. Carolyn Wilkins cannot say he's done this in his personal capacity because he hasn't. You can see all the email exchanges. He's done it in his capacity as leader of the council. Unfortunately, David, what I'm hearing is from various people. I can't substantiate it because I don't know if it's true or not, but an investigation needs to take place. I'm hearing people in the private sector. He's named other names, David, and I'm hearing that people might have lost their jobs as a consequence of him naming other names. So I'm sorry to say that and bring that to you, but he's clearly sent this out. I know of 4 people. Sorry, Dougie, you asked a question, didn't you? I know of 4 people he has sent these complaints out to. At least 4 people. And I know within the 4 people he sent those complaints out to, he's referenced at least half a dozen other people. And that's my worry. So of the other people he's referenced in the, has news got to their employers as well? Nah, Sarah, I agree with you. Can you imagine being covertly investigated because the leader of the council has got in touch with your employer and being accused of being a far-right supporter? Or that somehow you're connected with me, who's apparently a criminal? Or with Paul Boots? Or all proud of Oldham and Saddleworth and you're a racist? Or far-right? I am suing them. The university, what's he called? Entwistle has got back in touch, and he's responded something about the council have got to appoint, their insurers have got to appoint lawyers. So it's going to cost you guys, it's going to cost the Oldham taxpayer a lot of money. And I challenge anyone to look at that, what I've just shared, and there's 3 more that I know of, and I've got the stuff, or I'm getting the stuff more and more every day. I challenge anyone to look at that and say he has not libelled me. I hope so, Rocky. I hope a group case is put forward. I really, really hope so. And this is where I want to leave it, I think, is how embarrassing is this person? How can he be the leader of Oldham Council? How? How can this man be allowed to be the leader of Oldham Council? How much longer? How much longer do we have to put up with this? Last question. He's going to have to give him. Paul, they can't hide this. How many people's lives has this man tried to ruin in his capacity as leader of Oldham Council? How many? 4, 5, 6, 10, 20? I'm done. Thank you. Yeah, longer than the hour I planned. But thank you for staying with us, and hopefully I see you next week where, yeah, there's another, yeah, there's more. There's absolutely loads more for next week. Good night. Thanks. Thank you very, very much.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.